And we're back. This is Minding Your Business with the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. I'm Chris Spiker.
I'm Aaron Goldstein. We are here with our second guest, Pankaj Dayal from PNR Financial Services.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You know, and you are a great supporter of the community. I see you all over the place at all the chamber events.
Well, you have to be out there in the community if you want to grow your business as well as support the community. So I don't think I'm doing anything special, but I just think it's necessary.
You're showing up.
You try.
And
you
you're
do your
talking
best.
you're talking about something that's really important.
I believe so. I believe that is going to be what I would like to say a game changer that is coming down the pipe. And I'm quite excited to talk about it.
So it is it's a law in California,
Yes.
not federal, but California law, that at some point in the very near future, businesses with 5 or more employees, that's part-time, full-time, owners, whatever.
Well, it starts out in June of 2020 at 100 employees or more.
Less than a year away.
And then over a 2-year period, it's going to be down to 5 or more employees. So if you have 5 or more employees and you don't offer a retirement plan for your business, you will be affected by this thing called Cal Savers.
Then the government's going to help you.
Well, it can be a plus and a minus.
Well, yeah, I'm
and-
thinking there's probably a better way to do this.
Oh, there are plenty of options out there. And you as a small business should know what your options are. And maybe after evaluating your options, maybe Cal Savers is not a bad option for your business. It all depends on what your situation is and how it can affect your business.
Well, Pankaj, let's talk about it because people have to be warmed up sometimes to these new happenings.
Absolutely. As I said, Cal Savers is what they're calling it. It starts June 2020. Going from 100 employees every year, it's going to drop from 100 to 50 and down to 5. So what Cal Savers is really a Roth IRA. So if you as a business owner do not offer a retirement plan for your employees, you will be mandated to enroll your employees into this program. It's a state-sponsored retirement plan, and there are many states that are doing it. So California is not unique, but it's one of the ones in the forefront of the whole idea of these state-sponsored plans. And what I believe is what I'm really hoping that the message across to the employers is that you need to look at your options. Even if you have a plan in place right now, you need to know what kind of plan you have and who the providers are, what the fees are, what the funds are. But if you're an employer that does not offer a plan, the first thing you need to do is to look at the plan design. And for that, you would want to talk to somebody who is experienced in the financial services field, but very specifically on retirement plans only.
So let me just ask right there. So there may be an investment plan in place, but when Cal Savers comes along, it has to meet some rules.
Well, no, not really. When you have a plan in place already, then you're exempt from Cal Savers.
Okay.
So the reason I mention that is because I've been in this business 18 years, and I've seen a lot of changes in the business, and I see that there are a lot of older plans that are out there, and that the employers have set in place for more than 5 or 10 years and have never evaluated what their plan is. So today there may be an option that may be a little bit better out there,
Right.
and you need to know that, and you need to evaluate it because it will affect the bottom line, which is the expenses on the plan. And some Cal Savers is coming out and saying that there are no expenses. Yes, there are no expenses to the employer, but obviously the service providers have to make money. So where are they making money, and how much are they making is something that at least I put it this way, that if it was my money, I'd want to know what the expenses are, what my options are, and maybe it's not a bad idea to have it, but I would want to know. And this way I can make an informed decision on what I'm going into or what I'm getting into.
Yeah, and for an employee, this is additional income, or is this taken out of what They're already,
Though these are employee deferrals, so you're earning $1,000, $20,000, $50,000. There are limits, there are a lot of restrictions, and you need to be aware of that because what it is a Roth IRA. So when you have a Roth IRA, there are IRS regulations that also come into play. But if you meet the criteria, you will be allowed to put whatever amount of money that you're allowed into this Roth IRA, which is going to be oversight by the state of California. But there are individual entities out there, there are entities that will be managing the fund, and you have restrictions on the investments, but which I don't think is a bad thing, but there are restrictions. So when you have your own employer sponsored plan, you do have some restrictions, but you have control over those. You can select, you're allowed on most plans up to 20, 25 different types of investments.
right?
Whereas here you're restricted to a little bit, and they're not as robust as the others that are out there.
And you have the expertise to walk people through.
Absolutely. I've been doing this, like I said, for 18 years, and my background before going into this business was civil service. So I understand there are two main categories of retirement plans. One is a defined benefit. So as a civil servant, I am vested and I am eligible for a pension, what people call a pension. They're slowly but surely going by the wayside because they're just too expensive for the employers. So now we have defined contribution plans, and that's the transition I have made from coming from a DB to a DC plan setup, and that's why I have been focused in this one area. So I'm getting paid on the investments, but what I do bring to the table is the knowledge of what a plan design should be, how to implement it, and how to monitor it. So once I'm done with the employer, then I'm also speaking with the employees on and helping them throughout the whole process. So that, I believe, is one thing that I bring to value. Whereas if you're an employer and you put your employees into a plan like this, they're going to be on their own. Yes, there will be an 800 number and a website, but that's about all they're going to get. They're not going to get what I consider boots on the ground.
Yeah. And as an employer, I think there's a lot of liability. If you set up a plan, you don't walk the employees through it.
Well, if you have an employer-sponsored plan, yes, there is liability, but there are ways to mitigate that liability by understanding what you're getting into. So again, I keep going back to that because again, that is very, very important. The plan design, you need to know what kind of plan you have. You need to know what the investments are, what the fees are, regardless of who's paying it. So when someone comes and says to you, there's no fees, yes, there are no fees to a certain party, maybe to the employer, to the employee, but there are fees. So you need to know that. So that's your liability. But once you know that, you know how to handle it. And I don't think it's a big deal, but you need to know that, and you need to know how to handle it.
So for a business, there's got to be the CPA is involved, and maybe the attorney is involved, and you.
Sometimes, but not always. The CPAs, I do work with a lot of CPAs, and what I do try to bring to them is the fact that, again, the CPA, I actually get a lot of referrals from CPAs. And the reason I get referrals from the CPAs is I don't want to go back and give them a job. They're giving me a client or a prospect, so I want to make sure that I bring the whole package together for them so the CPA then can just oversee the whole process but not have to be involved in it every step of the way.
Yeah, because the CPA charges.
It's not an area that they would charge, but it's still not an area that they're comfortable with, or they don't want to be experts in it, and that's why they partner with someone like myself, because I'm bringing that knowledge. I work with some attorneys also, and it's the same thing. When they have clients that have questions, they just say call Pankaj, and that's the end of it.
Pankaj, people are listening. What's your contact information?
My phone number is 661 661-524-9052. Again, that's 661-524-9052. And I have a website, pnrfinancial.com, so they can go on that website, and my contact info is on that also. Again, it's pnrfinancial.com.
Sounds like reasonable advice. You're going to spend a lot of time with people. You're going to answer questions. You're going to set them up.
Absolutely. There is no cost or obligation to contact me. I will guide them through the process. And obviously, I'm hoping that they might consider doing business with me, but there is absolutely no obligation to them. But what I do have is the knowledge and the experience that I can provide for them and guide them in the right way.
Well, you're running through the community saying things are going to change
I believe so.
very quickly.
I believe, and I'm looking in this valley around here, and I see there are a lot of businesses that do not have a retirement plan. And I think it is a very important thing for the business owner to do that for the employees. So again, I think, if there's one message I could get across to the employers, that please evaluate your options before you're forced into whatever the state has to. Again, it's not a bad thing, but it is what it is. So you need to evaluate your options.
You'd like to have
before-
choices.
Absolutely.
And, even if you work for somebody that's coming around to this decision, it would still be good to give a referral and have them get in touch with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Hey, thank you for being a chamber member.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Thanks for being on the show today. We've been talking with Pankaj Dayal, PNR Financial Services. Thank you, sir.